Hi everyone, I'm Tallie, this is Farrell, and we are bored of it. And welcome to our What We Played Christmas 2023 edition.
So we're now in 2024, and we thought what better way to celebrate that than by refusing to leave 2023. This and our next video are going to be 2023 focused. So first we played a lot of games over Christmas, your family was here, and then we had some time alone. And we had some great experiences, and we just thought it'd be fun to talk about them. And then our next video is going to be our stats from 2023. So basically just which games did we play the most. And I think it's a really interesting list. You haven't seen it?
No.
So that's also going to be a lot of fun to talk about and discuss. But basically, we're just going to go through the games. We're not going to talk about, let's say, every one, because we played about 15, and some of them I think there's not so much to say.
Yeah.
Like you played Royal Visit, and I didn't, and you had one game. I think, you know.
Not worth mentioning.
No.
Although, brilliant game.
But we'll dip in and out, but we have some great ones. And I thought we could start with the one that was the most fun or brought the most laughs. We'll have a few in the middle, and then we'll end with the one that caused the most arguments. So then we have nice bookend. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so let's get to that first game, the fun one, which was Waterfall Park.
So, Waterfall Park was featured heavily in our What We Played. We played it quite a lot. Basically, it is a pure negotiation game. You essentially kind of get these plots on a theme park. Did we establish it? Yeah, it's a theme park. It's called Waterfall Park, but it's not a water park. It's a theme park.
I don't think about the theme too much. It's window dressing.
Yeah, so everyone kind of gets assigned different plots on the park and then different buildings that you can build on these plots. But the trick is you need a certain amount of the same building together in order to score. So a lot of trading of the buildings themselves, because you need to maybe get 5 of the cinema complex to make a kind of complete building. Maybe you didn't get the plots next to each other. So basically you just get assigned the things, and then it's go, 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 negotiate, negotiate, negotiate with everyone across the table. Yeah,
so I think this is 3 to 5 players. And yeah, what's important is that, so yeah, there's only 3 elements really to everything in the game. You have money, which is your victory points, most money wins. You have the plots of land, and you have tiles which represent a piece of the building.
Yeah.
And they're all randomized. So that's how the negotiation comes in, because you might have 3 cinema complexes and someone else has 1, but then you have something they have. So it's extremely simple in its rule set, and we've talked about it a bit because we did a review, so you can check that out if you want it in detail. But it really facilitates deals quite easily, even for non-gamers. It's a really light game, really easy to explain. I mean, you basically just got all the rules there, except about buildings make you money.
Yeah.
But it's so simple to explain and teach. And the thing is, with that example I just said, it leans itself towards very easy negotiations where you need a piece and someone else needs a piece, and you have each other's pieces, straight trade, and so even families can kind of get involved.
Although it's not usually that simple. Some pieces will be worth more, or you know someone is desperate for a piece. You can say, you know what, I'm not just going to straight trade, give me also 2 coins and it's yours.
Exactly.
That's where the fun comes
hard
in.
Negotiation.
Yeah.
So what was particularly great about this is, and for all this video, we're talking about kind of the period from 23rd of December up till 31st. And your mum and Derek came over, and we got this out, I think, on Boxing Day. And Tallie's mum is famous for moaning about having to play a new game.
Judging it by its cover.
Yes.
And saying that it's going to be too hard.
Exactly. She always puts herself down and says, I'll never understand. I can't do it. It's too hard.
Mummy.
I don't want to play it. And then sometimes, you know, it might be like a bit much, but other times she'll be like, bam. And even if she says she doesn't get it, sometimes she wins as well.
Yeah.
It's quite sneaky.
Yeah.
But what's great about this is she had a real face on when we put it in front of her. And then within round 2, she's like hardballing Derek and being like, I don't want your smelly old clown factory.
Yeah.
and just, I feel like this took on another level when playing it with family, which is why it was the most fun I think we had out of all the games, because it just notched up this level, because we never played it with family before, only friends, and it just really because you know your
Savage
family,
level.
right? You can be a bit more savage. You can
Yeah.
like shove it in their face. I don't know. It was such a great time.
Yeah, it was really fun. We're like, listen, I'll do a business with you if you give me that. Like,
Yeah.
we role played a little bit as well, right?
Exactly.
As if we were business people.
And I just remember, I think, didn't your mum have a piece once that both me and you wanted?
Yeah.
And we were just like yelling at her, like, Diane over here, Diane. Like trying to get, and she gave it to me.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
So yeah, I had a great, and well, I think we didn't mention, but this is a modern reprint and reimagining of Chinatown, an older game. And we kind of discussed all that a bit more in our review.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, just a really good time with that one.
All right. Next, let's go into space. Next up, we have Moon, the third game in the, I don't know what you call it, Villagers trilogy or the Designer trilogy, because they're all by the same one. I can't remember his name now. It's very Dutch, but it will be up on the screen. So we discovered Villagers kind of a little bit late on, but last year, and we instantly really enjoyed it. It's a tableau building, card drafting game. And then there were Streets, which we hadn't really played. And then Moon was the third one. Mm-hmm. And we got Streets and Moon together, and we tried it once or twice, and we enjoyed it enough. But I don't really know why, but it was just us two and Derek, and we got it out because your mum was busy doing something. And we ended up playing it, and Derek quite enjoyed it, and we enjoyed it, and then we played it another 2 times the next day.
Yeah.
And it was a real big hit. It was good to get it with more people and play it like over and over and get to grips with it. And essentially it's about building a civilization on the moon over a few different eras. So you kind of start out with really basic buildings, then you get more and more wild till you have an entire like city with all kinds of futuristic tech. But more or less what you're trying to do is, on one hand, you have buildings that give you resources, which allow you to play cards. And on the other hand, you have these kind of flags, which are like prerequisite symbols to build certain buildings. And you're trying to eke out victory points in any way you can. Sometimes you can get them in the middle of the game. Sometimes you get them at the end of the round for having the most of something, and so on. Just all these different scoring ways.
Yeah, really enjoyed, like you said, getting this out with more people. I did enjoy playing it just us two, but I do think it added another layer, having more people, because you can use other players' cards. So you can send out rovers basically and use either get the resource from someone else, or they have these like prerequisite flags that you have to build certain buildings, and you can send your rovers out on other people's cards so that you can use it. So obviously that's just a little bit more interesting maybe when there's more than 2, because I could decide maybe who I want to send my rover to, because it's a good thing if you give someone a rover because they actually get it back at the end of the round. So you could be giving them points or whatever, allowing them to use the rover for next time. So I think it just added another layer there. And also because you're drafting the cards, you have pack, like a hand of cards.
Yeah.
That you're kind of passing around, and you take one and then pass. So obviously there's more risk there when there's more people, because you
might
hope that one is still there when it comes back to you, and less likely that it will be when there's more people to take the cards. So yeah, really enjoyed it, and it was nice, like you say, to play kind of back to back as well, get through more cards, see more of it. Yeah,
and I think I enjoyed as well that, you know, sometimes it'll be like we'd just be using Derek to pump up the numbers, but I think this one he quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
And that was nice to see.
Yeah.
I had good fun, and he even beat, well, I think I won all of them, but he beat
Did
you. Yeah. I think he beat you in the first 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So you even got to grips with it. But yeah, a really nice card drafting game. Has some nice twists. You can build some nice combos. I think what I enjoyed playing it back to back to back was having these different kind of, well, I guess it's a tableau in some ways, but like tableaus in front of me where one game I'd go for this, another game I got almost all my points out of kind of having these like offside buildings, which are like 1-time use per round, but if you can get them right, you can get a lot of points. and I got like double the points I think any of us got in any other games, right? Just because of how things came out and what I got. So it's just really interesting. There's replayability there as well.
Yeah, agree.
So Moon, that was a great little time, and I think let's keep with the building theme. Next up, we have the estates, and this is like in some ways a personal, like little favorite of ours, right? Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a weird bidding auction game, but it's so interactive and so cutthroat. That's exactly the kind of game we love. And again, we played this with Derek, and did we play 2 games of this?
I think so.
Yeah, we did. We back to back, right?
Yeah.
And both games are quite different, but we had a lot of fun. So in this, you're kind of investors, and you invest in companies, and then hello, boy, and then you kind of, if you're the first person to buy a block of a certain color, you then get that kind of company card for that color. So you're the blue company or the red company. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to build these little skyscrapers with building blocks, but you want your color to be exactly the one under the roof. Yeah. Because that means you score the building. So they can be every player's color in the kind of building skyscraper, but only the one under the roof decides who owns that, and you get all the points from it and the points from the rooftop as well. And there's kind of 3 streets you're building on, and the game ends when 2 of them are complete. Because in the theme of the game, which I love, it's that the city council has said you can build on kind of 2 streets of this empty lot, and all the investors go, now we want to make money, we'll build on 3. But then the city council is going to close it down as soon as 2 are completed. Mm-hmm. So there's also a lot of risk in there, because you want your streets to be the one which are getting closed off first. So then you're safe because you're getting the points. Whereas if your street is one that isn't closed off, you get negative points. So there's a lot of fun there where you can extend the street of other players, you can narrow your own street, you can double the points, and that'll be double positive and negative. There's all these little twists and turns, and it's like all auction based. So on my turn, I'll pick a block that says like red 6 on it and auction it, and then I either pay what the top bid is or I get that money from the player. And it's a closed economy.
I was about to say that's one of the most funny parts in a way, is because there's only a certain amount of money. Yeah. So if you know someone's just overpaid maybe for something, they're probably, and then you know how much money you've got, you can maybe see how much money the other players have got, you know that person doesn't have much, so you know they won't be able to kind of outbid you for the next one or whatever it might be. So that's why part of like the savagery comes in as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best auction games, and kind of player interactivity, like experiences. It's just so fun, and like such a little sandbox of how different these games can go with a very simple set of rules, and it doesn't play in too long a time either. Yeah. It's just like the tension of bidding and like not knowing how much to go for and what, like, because if I'm the auctioneer, I don't set a bid, all the other players bid, and I either match the highest one and pay them or get that money. And so if you're going first in the bidding, it's so tough if you really want that piece to know what to say without bankrupting yourself. Or so there's a lot of tension that way. And then just the pure shenanigans, basically, of extending a street or doubling someone's negative points, or, you know, like
throwing away a cube of theirs, because even though you might have, like, say the red company, you can still bid for someone else's block. Say it's yellow and you have the yellow company. I could bid for it and then just like throw it out the game.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Is always very satisfying.
It's so fun to just whoop. So it won't be for everyone, I think. I think there's elements that like people won't like. So it's not that this is a universal recommendation. It's a little weird. It's got some kind of rough edges, but I think it's been such a joy to play, and it's really nice to get it out and have back-to-back games and some silliness, basically. Yeah,
I think I posted on our Board of It Instagram, nothing says family, festive fun like a game of the estates.
Exactly.
It was, couldn't be less festive. It was very savage.
So let's go to the next game, and let's switch it up and do something big and complicated. Ooh. And the opposite of brutal cutthroat negotiation. Here we have Oathsworn Into the Deepwood, a big, complex-ish, heavy-ish dungeon crawler type thing. That cooperative that we got a while back, and it was kind of sat on our shelf for a long time because the in tray, because I knew that we'd need some like solid time to sort it out and like the components and get into it basically, and like set aside some time. And we had that time in between Christmas and New Year's. Yeah. And actually the setup was really surprisingly decent. They have a guide on how to do it. There wasn't nearly as many cardboard components as I thought. Everything's very like nicely put away in trays.
You spent a bit of time in between as well, actually organising it all, didn't you? Like popping everything out. And
that's what I meant.
Yeah, but you were a while doing it though.
Yeah, but compared to some games, I think. So this is like kind of a Gloomhaven rival, you could say. It's got a lot of positive press, particularly this year, I think. So I think they had a first Kickstarter, and then people got it, and it had a lot of positivity, and then the second Kickstarter, and that's what we backed. And yeah, I mean, it's your kind of standard thing where you have the kind of story mode, you could say, where you're kind of doing like a bit of choose your own adventure, and you're usually wandering through a town, like kind of chatting to people, hearing story. We're using the app, which is really great because it's narrated and it's free. So I think we really enjoy the voice acting in that, and the story has been really intriguing. And then you kind of just do a boss battler after that with card play, where you're playing cards, use them for abilities, tactical positioning, different character powers, all that. I mean, you kind of get the idea. So what did you think of this?
I do like it, but like you said, you thought about setting some time aside because you knew that we would need that to get to grips with it all. I do think we played it a little bit too long for my liking. We played like 2 story times and 2 boss battles. 2
missions total.
And I think
missions, story and the boss battle.
We did it on a Saturday and then sat down at maybe like 1 p.m. and then didn't put it...
later than that.
I don't know. It was about 9 or 10 hours that we were playing this game, which for me is a bit too much. But then we got it out again after
we just
a few days ago, and we just did the story time. And I do really like it. The only thing for me is I do think it's quite similar to other games of its genre. And for me, I don't know really what the USP of this one is. I guess it's the way when you are doing the battle, you have this system where once you've played a card, you have to flow it basically. So you might not get it back for a while until you play other cards, and then it kind of shifts the ones that you've played around. But that could be like quite a few rounds in until you get it back. So I guess it's the strategic of like thinking about when you play what and when you might get it back. But other than that, I mean, I do really like the story and I like the voice acting. I think it's fun, but I'm not sure for me what it brings yet above like Jaws of the Lion or Tanara's Adventures or whatever.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's more streamlined than Tanara's Adventures. Yeah. And I'm not sure of the timeline, but it could be that this was actually there before as well. I'm not 100% on that. I really enjoyed it. I think the story's really interesting. Already in the 3rd story time, as we're calling it, it was quite interesting. It was a bit of a shake-up.
Sorry.
Wow. And
came out of nowhere.
And so I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. But I do think you're right that it's quite long together. And I think now... Because one of the great things about it is actually it's very easy, relatively, for what you're looking at to set up and put away. So I think I would always make it like an individual session. So I'd do the story. It takes like about an hour maybe, all told, getting in, putting away. And then next time, do the boss battle. Yeah. And then do that, like, rather than just setting up for like, a really long time now.
Yeah, I just think with maybe it is just because we were getting to grips with it and we had to keep going back to the rule book, so it's probably longer than it usually would be. But I think some of the, like one of the battles that we did, or maybe both, you're kind of just doing the same thing, like trying to hammer on the boss. So the fact that we've been playing it for like all those hours, I was a bit like, oh, okay, I'm like a bit over it now. But I think if we played it in the way, like you say, where you break it up a little bit more, then it would be better for me at least. I just don't have the attention span.
Yeah, but it's not like our favourite genre either. I do think it does it really well, and it might be my preferred one thus far.
Yeah,
have to explore it more.
I would probably agree with that.
Out of like Jaws of the Lion and Tanara's and We haven't played so many. Like Vagrant Song, we've played as a boss battler, but obviously it's not quite the same thing.
No.
But I think Watch This Space, we'll play it a bunch and we'll probably review it at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, Oathsworn.
Okay, next up we have Spots, which is my new favourite game ever. It's a game that Farrell got me for my birthday back in November. And
Targeted content.
Yeah. Dogs, great. I've nailed it.
Yeah.
But no, it's an instant hit for me at least. And we thought it was a really perfect one to get out with the family over Christmas because it's very lightweight game, lots of fun, lots of tension. So basically, you have these cards that have dogs on them, that have spaces for dice to put on them, so different dice values. And you're basically rolling some dice and assigning them onto the spaces on the dogs. And once you've put the right values on the dogs, you can kind of complete them. And the first one to get to 6 complete dogs will win. But the way you do it is by taking tricks, and that's how you kind of roll the dice. So there's 6 tricks to choose from, and it will be something like, I'm going to choose bolt or roll over or whatever it is. And it could be something like, roll 8 dice and choose a number and assign all of the 4s or whatever it might be to your dogs. But the little trick is you have a yard, and any dice that you can't place on your dogs goes into the yard. And if you go over 7 pips on the dice, you go bust. So you lose all of the dice that you've placed on your incomplete dogs. So bit of push your luck, bit of tension there, racing, but it's just, a lot of fun, some dice chucking, and I think it's, just like the pure tension of trying to be the one to complete the 6 dogs, basically. Easy rule set. I guess the only thing is you can change the tricks out. So you always have 2 that are there all the time, and then the other 4 might change. There's quite a big selection. So every time you change them, obviously the people playing have to kind of learn the new tricks. But I mean, they're simple enough. It literally says on it, roll 2 dice, do this. Super easy.
So this was one that we played a lot since we got it. And we introduced it to your parents. So your mum and Derek. And then basically this was another one that your mum kind of went, She didn't want to play it.
Yeah.
She was moaning before we
it has
started.
dogs on it. Come on.
Before we started, and then what did she do, Tallie?
1.
The first game.
Nailed it, smashed it.
The longest game ever in the history of Spots, I think.
That was a really long game,
Because usually it's quite a quick game, because you only need to get 6 dogs, and if you play smart, you can probably do it quite quickly. But I don't know what it was, but it was just it honestly took over an hour. And it was funny because Derek got to the point where he only had a dog with 2 dice slots to fill, and he needed a 5. And every single round, he didn't get a 5. For, honestly, must have been 20 minutes. He didn't roll a 5. And that was quite funny. And then everyone else caught up gradually because he was quite far ahead. And then your mum took it with a bit of a lucky roll.
Yeah.
Because I was too much of a gambler and was trying to fill 4 dogs at once. But I think that's what's so enjoyable about Spots. It's the kind of push your luck gambling, because it's all on you how much you want to push your luck, especially with the way some of the tricks work, which are quite cool. The one you said where you roll them all, but then you have to take all of that number.
Yeah.
Or the one I like where it's you roll 1 dice and then you roll a 2nd dice, and you can basically roll as many times as you want, but you always have to add 1 more dice to the pool every time. So it's 1, then 2, then 3. And if you have a lot of dogs to fill and a lot of spaces, you can get a lot of them filled, but then it's ooh, do I try and do it? Because the real kind of the push and pull point is, if you fill a dog, you can take your turn, or any dogs you filled, you can take your turn and say, okay, I've completed them, flip them over, they're done, you've banked them. Or you can wait until every dog you have in front of you, so it just depends how many you have, could be 1, could be 3, could be 6. If they're all full at the same time, they immediately flip.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of push-pull of either banking what you have, but that takes a turn, or saving time but pushing your luck.
Yeah.
And I particularly love that as a gambler.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I just love it.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about it, I want to play it like right now.
So Spots was a big hit with Tallie, I think.
And the family.
Yeah, exactly. So even your mum enjoyed it by the end. So Spots, a little small game, and we will carry on. Continuing with the smaller box party weight games, we have So Clover, and we talked about this a little bit in our best games of 2023 video, as it was in your honourable mentions, and maybe even mine, I think it was
in your honourable mentions.
Oh, but you had it in my
top 10.
Number 10, maybe. 10. So, obviously, it's a game we've really enjoyed, and that's basically because it's been our go-to family word type game, because one of the biggest hits while we've been gaming, and this was when we were kind of getting into gaming, was Codenames. And I remember I bought it because I heard it was good, and my family was coming over for a week, and all we did the entire time, every spare moment, was play, like 6 of us, just playing Codenames over and over and over and having such a great time. So we've always had a soft spot for, Codenames to crypto. And we picked up So Clover last Christmas, actually, and it was like a big hit because that was kind of the new game we had when your parents were here last year, and we were kind of, experiencing it for the first time, but we got out a couple times this time because it is one of your mum's favorites, like top 5. She always asks for it.
I was going to say, she's always requesting it rather than turning her nose up and being like, I don't want to play it.
So she has a very small approved list, and it's like Uno is the first 7 spaces, then So Clover, and then like maybe 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
I think Spots might be like 10.5.
I think she enjoyed Waterfall Park the most.
Yeah,
actually.
that got on the list, I think. Number 9. But if you don't know it, you have literally a little plastic clover that's shaped exactly like this.
4-leaf clover.
And you put little word cards like on the 4 leaves, and they have random words that will be paired together. So you'll have like 2 words on each leaf, and then you have to write a 1-word clue to connect the 2 words. You take all these word cards off, and then you shuffle them up, and you add in another one. And each of these code cards has like 4 words on it. But obviously what your team is cooperative. So what the team is trying to do is to kind of replace them how they were when you put those clues in. So turn them around to the right orientation, have every single one in the right spot. And obviously with the 1-word clue and connecting, sometimes it's very tough. So it's also fun with families because you get a lot of that bickering, like what they mean.
Sometimes it's really difficult. The 2 words that are on 1 leaf.
Yeah.
So hard to connect, and you really have to think out of the box, or like maybe you think that somebody else on the team will know what you mean, and like, okay, that person might think about that.
Yeah,
but then other times it's super easy and you can link them very, easily. So it's actually really difficult to write the clues sometimes, and also one of the difficult things is a lot of the words can be similar or related. Yeah. So on 1 card, you might have like lion, and there could be tiger, but you are trying to get them to get tiger, kind of similar to Codenames in that way, right? Where a lot of the words are related. So it can be quite tough.
But yeah, I guess there's not really a punishment here, just a disapproval of your team, which could be worse.
Yeah, exactly.
But we just have a great time with it. And one of the funny things that's come out in our meta of So Clover is both you, your mum, and me are Geminis. And even though like you're so close to your mum, like if you play, I don't know, Articulate or something, you're like spot on. That. But with games like this, she will give a clue and you'll be like, and I'll just be like, it's quite clearly this. And there's some sort of weird Gemini wavelength where we've discovered in these word games, it must be the Gemini way of thinking.
Yeah, I know, like Gemini power.
Yeah, and like you and Derek are just like, I don't understand. I'm like, of course it's this one.
Yeah.
So that's come up, and that's been a really funny type thing.
Yeah, I think we touched upon it when we talked about it in our top games of 2023 as well. Even though it's cooperative and we actually prefer competitive games most of the time because we're savages, we still have a lot of fun with this because I think, especially when you play with your family, where, like you say, you can be a little bit more brutal and a bit more like loose. If somebody's giving bad clues, we'll be like, oh, rubbish clues. So it's still like a little bit of a competitive element for us as well.
Definitely.
Who can give the best clues?
Okay, so Clover, if you're looking for a little word party game, can't recommend enough. And it's funny actually, Derek got us Christmas presents that were not permanent markers, but dry erase markers, because one of the ones didn't work. Like last time we played this at your birthday a month or two ago. So now we're even getting presents based at So Clover.
True.
So let's go to a little quickfire round. For the quickfire round, we're just going to go through a bunch of games that maybe we only played once. Maybe there's not some great stories about them, but just to mention what we did play. Obviously, if these are a lot of them are ones that we just played ourselves. So let's just run through and we'll just say a bit about them. And we could probably start with one that actually we would like to say a lot about, but can't.
Yeah.
And that would be Wormspan.
Yes.
Because we have a review copy and we've played it a lot, but we can't talk about it. No content allowed until the 22nd. Embargo. So if you want to know more, then subscribe if you're not already and click the bell icon to know when the video comes out. So that's something we've played a lot over the whole day. And then moving down, we played Dead Reckoning, which has become a real favorite. I mean, we always really liked it because we're big fans of Scythe, and you describe it as Scythe on Sea.
Scythe on Sea.
And we got our Saga expansion. What? Saga.
Yeah.
I say Saga. So expansion. Expansions, and we've put those in, and we've been playing with them. So we got a little game on New Year's Eve. And that was quite a fun game. Had a lot of fun playing it. We had some high scores.
Yeah, we did.
We did better than usual. Got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Then you also picked on New Year's Eve Ultimate Railroads.
Yeah,
which
that was fun.
We hadn't played that in almost a year, and it's a really a really mean worker placement game that's actually lightning quick. I mean, our game honestly took 30-40 minutes.
Yeah, I think we were quite tempted to just play again, right? But then we decided to play something else instead. But yeah, surprisingly quick for what it is.
Yeah, I think very few games give you that much kind of crunch and decision space in such a short time. And it's so rapid fire in the way it plays. And we really enjoy it. We have a review of that as well if you want to check it out. But it was really nice to get that out again. Such a great example of the worker placement genre and how fun it can be combined with, some kind of classic Euro track type mechanisms. And then we played one of my top 10 games of last year, Bear Raid. We had one game of that with Derek.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is a stocks and shares game by Ryan Courtney. And it's basically about you get some stocks in some companies and it's all hidden behind your screens, and you're trying to increase the value of stocks you do have while shorting stocks you don't have or don't care about. And then if you've invested in them, you want their price to go up because then they split and you double what you have. And if you have kind of shorted them, you want to bankrupt those companies because then your debt's wiped. So you get free money basically. And it's just such a lot of fun because it's a real battle of wills and dice manipulation. People take them and hide them, and then people bring these dice out at the wrong time and affecting what you really care about. And it's just this real tense push pull back and forth with a lot of
there's an event
humor.
Every round, right? So you might want the dice to be high in one round per company, because of a certain event that's there, and they're really funny things like CEO puts foot in mouth, or emails are leaked and stuff like that. But then you flip the event and it's the complete opposite. So then you have to scramble to go the other way if you're really trying to manipulate what is happening in that company.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is a really fun game. It's just every time we get that one out, I'm like, how do you play this again? Even though it's not that hard.
No, it's very simple in what you can do in your turn.
Yeah, I
it's just
can't describe
gameplay.
it. And like when people are talking about like stock shorting, I'm like, But then once I play it, I get into it.
The only reason I understand any of that is because of this game only.
Yeah.
Like learning the rules of this game made me understand all that
Stocks.
stuff is on about, yeah. So then we also have a game from your top 10 of last year, Thunder Road, that we had one game of,
true.
which was quite an exciting game. And this is obviously the reprint of Thunder Road, reimagining from Restoration Games of Thunder Road Vendetta. And why don't you tell us about that game, since you had it on your top 10 list?
Yeah, I do really love this game. So it's kind of like Fast and Furious Mad Max vibes, and every player has a small, medium and large car, and also a chopper. And essentially you roll some dice and you assign those dice to those vehicles basically, and that determines how many along the track they can move. But the fun twist part is it's very brutal. You can shoot the other players, you can use your chopper to kind of blast them off the track. And actually it's about, before the game can end, one player has to get like fully eliminated. So their cars have to be either damaged beyond repair, or you like chuck them into a ravine, which I personally love. But it's this very kind of chaotic, because you actually might try to slam into your opponents and thinking that I'm going to slam them off the road and then get them off the cliff. Then actually you roll some dice to determine what happens, whether they go backwards or forwards and how many spaces. And you might be the one that ended up in the ravine.
Yeah.
So it's just, a lot of fun. Kind of like beer and pretzels games. It's not, I'd say it's light to medium weight actually. I don't think it's like super easy. Although you are just assigning some dice to the cars. But yeah, I think there's a little bit more to it than that. But just a race to the end with some shooty.
But yeah, we had quite a fun game, didn't we? Because I worked out that because you only got down to one car, so you could only coast. And then I put my chopper in front of you where like there was nowhere else you could go, so then you had to coast.
Yeah,
you had to coast into my chopper, and that was your last car out of the game. And then it was me and Derek, and then I literally blew him up when I pulled up behind him, like his last car, all in like one turn. So it went from like all three of us. Well, that was the thing, because you were so far ahead, you knocked both me and Derek's cars off when you moved the track forward.
Yeah,
so we were too far back. And then this next round, and we were like, oh no. And then the next round, I blew up both of you, and it was
thought I was a surefire win, but no. Yeah, we did have a story about that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. So I think we'll now end with the game that caused the most arguments. We'll end with Dune Uprising, the game that caused the most arguments.
It's because someone's salty.
That is completely accurate. So we kind of, you could say, reinvested our ad money into buying some board games, as you'll want to do as a channel about board games.
Yeah.
And we bought Dune Imperium Uprising. We already have Dune Imperium and all the expansions. And it's a game we enjoy, but we're not like crazy on. I know some people really like it. You know, I'm not convinced that it should be in the top 20 of all time or anything.
No. I do like it.
Yeah, but we do like it, right? So, but we also haven't played it as much as some people. You know, I know there's a lot of, and I think the issue is we obviously play 2-player a lot, so it's more of a struggle for us to play it at 3 and 4, which I think is really where it shines. I think we probably have a higher opinion.
Maybe.
But we thought it would be fun to at least do one of our buyer's guides now that this is out, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking what's the difference. Can you play with the expansions, like all this stuff? So we're exploring it. So yeah, we played this. We had 3 games, I think, over the Christmas period. And what was your impressions compared to the original?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. It's because I won.
Yeah, you won twice. No, well, I won the 3rd time. Thank you.
Yeah, I won twice.
Yeah.
If I can win a game against Farrell, it's like an instant 9 out of 10 for me. I like some of the. I like the new mechanisms. So it's you can use like, what are they? I don't know the Dune universe so well, but like the sandworms, you can throw them into battle now to give you some more kind of strength. We also played with it's an expansion, right, with the contracts.
Yeah, mini expansion.
It comes in the
Chome
box.
module.
So it kind of gives you a little bonus if you go to certain spaces, and you can take these contracts just to kind of boost the actions that you're doing. And I do think that's quite fun.
Yeah.
I do think it's pretty similar, for at least in the 3 games that we've played, to the original one, let's say. But glad to have both of them.
Would you say you prefer it overall?
Not sure actually. No, I think I probably prefer the original.
No, really?
Yeah.
How come?
I don't know really. Maybe it's just a case of one of those things like Brass Birmingham, Brass Lancashire, where whichever one you play first, maybe you have like a bit of a bias towards. But I don't think it is that much different from what I can see so far. I don't know. Yeah,
it's like, I guess they would say more of a refinement in the second edition, but there's some, like, you now have spies where you can send out so that you don't get blocked out from spaces, although
that's true.
You need to have someone there first, but it gives you more leeway to get to where you want to go or draw an extra card.
I think this one's a bit more tough to get certain resources. I think I struggled to get Solari, the money.
Really? I found I was overflowing Solari all the time.
No, okay. Maybe it just depends on what cards you have and what you buy, but I just found it more tough to get a selection of resources. Like I was always struggling for something, like either water or spice or the Solari. I just found not as many spaces were giving you that or giving you a chance to kind of swap them, maybe.
Yeah. I think, for me, it grew on me the more we played. And I think now it might be my preferred version, but I'd have to see how it goes with the expansions, because you can add them in, but it'll obviously change it up a bit. So I think we're going to work on that next. But I think I enjoyed it. I think the biggest point of contention is the sandworms, because they essentially double the resources you get in that battle. So eventually late game, so that you can get victory points from battle. So, and some of them will give you 2, but the first one you get for free, the second one you have to pay for. But if you set yourself up right, you can potentially get 4, which is like a huge swing. Yeah. So there's been a lot of contention about that. So that's one thing. But yeah, it's interesting that you can use the sandworms, but you have to work for them. I think the card deck is more interesting. I'm definitely more interested in more of the cards in the marketplace.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
So I think I felt much happier with the deck building element in this one as well. But yeah, I think the spies I could take or leave. I think the contract one was nice, but we only played 1 game with that, so I look forward. But I think I did really enjoy it, and I was surprised by how different I felt. I think the one thing that I didn't really like was, because we play 2 players, so we have to use the kind of rivals, like the fake third player. I think in Dune Imperium, it was a really good balance of getting in the way and kind of making battles spicy, but not
overtaking.
Yeah, but just not being annoying, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here, I think because you can either like play and it's like they're an actual third player, which we don't really want to do. We kind of want a more against each other game. And the ones that like don't score, both of them have special abilities that throw cubes into combat. So it has been very much that in the games we played, we've got really screwed over basically by them putting so many troops in that like another player could never do.
Yeah, true.
If you know what I mean. Because they don't have to pay for these resources. And I found I didn't like that a bit much. And then one of them, another of his powers is to go up the influence tracks, and we found like he was ending the game with like multiple alliances, which is victory points, and that was like a bit annoying because it's one thing if a player does it, right? It's a different thing if some like bot's doing it because a card tells them to. So that was the one downside. I think I liked it more in the original, but it's made me really want to play this with more people now.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So that was Dune Imperium Uprising. We hopefully will feature it more in the future with some sort of buyer's guide to compare and contrast. And I guess we can end this video here. We've covered all those games of Christmas, and we hope you enjoyed hearing about them. You learned something. If it was enjoyable or you want to know more, please subscribe and ask us. We have a lot of reviews of these games. So, you know, like the original Dune Imperium, Waterfall Park. We've talked about some of these in our best games of 2023 video, like Bear Raid and So Clover in probably more detail. So please check out, but most importantly, thank you for watching. See ya.
Bye.